Thanks to those joining me live, to those joining me on archive, DStyleBoxing, if you're watching archive, thumbs up the video. So look, and I'm going to say this, and I'm doing this video for this reason. All right, and I want people to listen to me. I want you to listen very, very carefully. All right, I don't care if you don't like wrestling. If you don't like wrestling and you don't want to hear somebody talk about it, then don't watch my videos. It's honestly, it's that simple, right? I'm not gonna, like, the more you tell me not to do it, I'm gonna do it more. Just piss you off, all right? It's just the way it is, because I know you're watching it, so I'm like, hey, why not? But here's the thing. I don't apologize for liking wrestling, and I don't care what anybody thinks of me being a fan of wrestling. Now, look, just because I'm a fan of wrestling in general doesn't mean I like the current product. I think the WWE is trash right now. Overall, I think it's trash. Not because I don't like wrestling, but because I don't really think, you know, they're pushing it as a real professional wrestling promotion. Vince is steering away from that. I have a problem with that personally. But first of all, I know that there's a lot of you out there that, you know, don't like the product, WWE, but you like wrestling. And I know that because you'll say things like, well, I used to be down for Stone Cold, but not no more, right? Current shit sucks today. Well, that doesn't mean you don't like wrestling. That means you don't like the current WWE product. There's a difference. It's like liking movies, but you don't like a specific movie. That's fine, right? But let me say this, and the reason I want to do this video, way too many wrestling fans are way too, either it's like one extreme or the other. Either they're very defensive about what they like, and they come up with the most ridiculous arguments for liking it. And that's one wrestling fan. And you have the other one, the other wrestling fan that is kind of ashamed of admitting that they like wrestling. And you kind of tell. So let me put it this way. Why are people ashamed of liking professional wrestling? What is it about professional wrestling that makes you think, like, I can't admit I like it? Why? Because people say it's fake? Is that why? So those people, they never watch movies, is what you're telling me. They never watch sitcoms on TV. They never read books, fictional books. They never do that, right? They're not fans of Game of Thrones or anything like that. They don't like The Walking Dead. Like, so they don't watch anything that isn't real. Like, everything they watch, everything, every form of entertainment that they watch is real. All of it. Is that what you're telling me? And it's not like this isn't the 70s, you know, where, like, people have known this. People have known that wrestling isn't real. People know this. It isn't a secret. It's not like, oh man, kayfabe, keep it alive. Like, nobody cares about that. Hey man, you know it's not real, right? Well, no shit. Of course it's not real. Vince McMahon went on the air since the 80s and said it's not real. Like, this is not, that people have always really known it wasn't real. They just liked, you know, pretending it was real. But people do that with everything. I remember when Glenn from The Walking Dead got killed with a barbed wired baseball bat. All right? Remember that when Negan killed him? I like Negan, by the way. I haven't watched this last season of Walking Dead. I got to catch up. I like the Negan character. But oh my God, he isn't real. Now, we all know Glenn didn't die. The actor Glenn is still alive. He did an interview and everything. We know he's alive. He didn't really get killed. Yet all over social media, you have people crying, oh my God, they killed off Glenn. Oh my God, you had people crying. You had people shedding tears, right? You had people that were watching this shit crying while they were watching it. Yeah, but wrestling fans, okay, can't, appreciate pro wrestling. A wrestling fan says, I can't believe they made that motherfucker win. And then everybody, oh, it's not real, bro. It's not real, okay, bro? And then they'll go fucking watch Walking Dead because as if a real apocalypse really happened. All right? Get the fuck out of here. Don't go listen to a song about something that never happened, but it makes them feel good. It's you could come up with many examples. Now, look, it doesn't mean somebody has to like it. Somebody could watch it and think whatever they think. It's corny, it's this, it's not my cup of tea. That's fine. But this whole it's not real, it's stupid. It's a dumb thing to say. All right? What's the other thing they say? That's for kids. It's for kids. Well, it's true. Kids do like wrestling. I was a kid at one point. I was a fan of wrestling. But historically, that's not true. That's not historically true at all. Yes, the WWF really did cater a lot to kids. Vince McMahon did that to make a lot of money. That's why a lot of the characters are very cartoonish. That is true. Like that, there's no denying that. And I don't want to take anything away from there being an element of, hey, doing it for the kids. Yeah, kids love wrestling. And I want to take one of my little cousins to a WWE show soon so they could watch it, so they could enjoy it. So, what's the big deal? I don't understand what the big deal is. Now, to say, I mean, the shit was TV 14 a couple years ago. Okay, just so to say that it's always been for kids is a lie. It's not true. It wasn't for kids when they had nothing but men in the crowd when Gorgeous George was wrestling or when Bruno Sammartino was wrestling. It wasn't for kids. Vince catered the WWE product for kids, but it doesn't mean it was just for kids. In the last 2 decades, they've been catering to women too, which is fine. They're getting a little out of hand right now, but it's fine. But still, so it's fake. People point that out as if people don't know that. Now, don't get me wrong. Are there wrestling fans out there that I kind of wonder to myself, like, do these people not understand that this shit's not real? Yes, but I say the same shit about other stuff too, right? I mean, I will see people talk about fictional shows, right? And threaten to kill the producers because something didn't go their way. I'm never going to watch Game of Thrones ever again because they killed off so-and-so. Well, good luck. Well, they're going to keep killing people, right? Right? Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I'm sure that when Brian Pillman fucking pulled out a fucking gun on Stone Cold, I'm sure that was all for kids, okay? I'm sure that was catering to kids, right? Right? Look, at the end of the day, all right? I'm sure when Kevin Nash put Scott Hall's face in the toilet and let them there after beating them up, I'm sure that was being catered to kids. Right. Look, at the end of the day, right, this is the way it goes, right? My issue with the WWE has nothing to do with the fact that it's fake. Like, if I wanted to watch a real fight, which I do, I'll watch UFC and I'll watch boxing. That's why I watch those things, right? I watch wrestling for a completely different reason. I watch wrestling literally for entertainment purposes, right? That's why I watch wrestling. So there's some other people I want to address, and that's within the wrestling community. Because speaking of that, can somebody explain to me, like, please, can you explain to me why is it that you have wrestling fans that want it to be real. When if you want to watch a real fight, you can go watch it literally in either the UFC or in boxing. See, those fans confuse me more than the people that make fun of this shit, right? And sometimes I wonder if they're referring to you guys. Like, why do you guys mark out? Why is there a group of fans that mark out when wrestlers do things that look like they hurt? And what I mean by that is like they mark out if a wrestler like throws himself off a top of a cage or something like that and he gets hurt. And they mark out because to them that solidifies that it's real, right? Well, everybody knows it's real in terms of, these guys get hurt. They have legitimate injuries. Okay, long term, they do a lot of damage to their bodies to entertain people and their kids, right? Like everybody understands that, I hope, all right? But like this whole like when, like if there's one thing I hate right now within the hardcore wrestling fan base, like I fucking hate it, all right, is this need for these extremely dangerous moves to be done all the time. Like, why do you need these things? Like, let's address them one by one. Why do you need share shots to the head? Why is that necessary? What satisfaction are you getting because they're literally hitting each other in the head with a steel chair? Like, do you need that satisfaction to prove to people that it's real? Or you want us to tell people, look, that's a real steel chair hitting them in the head. Why do you need that? Why is that necessary? I mean, the WWE doesn't allow it at all, and I don't have an issue with it at all. I don't have an issue with that. I have no problem with no share shots in the head. You gain nothing out of it. Now, I would allow it if they just, if you know what you're doing, you don't take the full impact, but you got to use your hand to block it. There's wrestling fans that have a problem with that. Oh, but why did you have to use his hand? What a pussy. Like, what? It's, and I always quote Bret Hart, but it's supposed to look as real as possible. It's not actually supposed to be real. All right? Again, if you want to see a real fight, there's things you could go see, like MMA and boxing or kickboxing, if you want to see a real fight. What satisfaction do you get when these guys hit each other in the fucking head with a steel chair? What's wrong? Bret Hart used to use his hand to block the chair shot. He wouldn't take it just head on like that. It does nothing. It just makes people mark out, okay, and brag to people how real wrestling is because they take these unnecessary share shots to the head. It's just unnecessary. Also, the daredevil moves that have no purpose. Daredevil moves that make no sense psychology-wise. They make no sense. Like when guys jump off the top of the they climb the top of the turnbuckle, and then they jump off to the outside, and like 5 dudes catch them. What the fuck is that? Like, why? Don't even do it then. Why wouldn't they just move out of the way? That's the first thing that comes to mind. It's ridiculous that you would just stand there and wait for a dude to do a moonsault off the top fucking turnbuckle so you could catch him. It's unnecessary and it's stupid. It just is. It's dumb. There still has to be psychology. So I use, for example, the Walking Dead, right? So the Walking Dead, we know is not real. It's fake. Sure. But there's still psychology involved. And when somebody gets shot in the face, they die. Like common sense. Whatever it is. They do things like strategy, right? They have, what's his name? What the fuck's the dude's name? The main character, the sheriff, whatever his name is, right? Chris, or I forgot the fucking name, right? But he strategizes something and he has a plan for something, and even though it's not real, you got to make sense of it. It has to make sense, at least some sense. So you have the unnecessary daredevil moves. No, nobody's saying you can have high flyers, and you got to just make sense of it. That's all. Nobody's saying you can't do share shots. You just got to make them as safe as possible. What's wrong with that? Nothing. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And then you have the fans that say psychology and wrestling matches are boring. Then why are you watching it then? Then watch something else. Honestly. What are you watching it for? Like, I remember back when people would watch it because of Sable. Like, really? You watch it because of Sable? You could watch half-naked women and other shit. Like, why would you have to watch wrestling for that? Like, I'm not saying there's no place for that, but, I'm just saying. And I think Vince is one of those people that believes wrestling's boring. Which is fine. Like, you don't have to like it. Right? But if you think a wrestling match needs, 4 ladders and 20 tables and flaming tables and thumbtacks and all that to be exciting, then okay. To each their own. You want these dudes to mutilate their fucking bodies, go ahead, watch that if you want. I'm not against that if that's what you want. It's not my cup of tea. But what are you watching it for then? What else? What else bothers me? Talk about shit that bothers DStyle, right? You know what I hate? I hate, and you get this a lot from WWE marks, okay? The ones that tell you, why can't you just enjoy the show? Stop trying to tell people what you want. Blah, 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 blah. Right. People have always booed guys they don't like, okay? That's always happened. Guys that Vince was pushing have been either booed or there was no response to them. That has always happened. You see, they're flipping the script now. And I'm hearing this a lot from people that want to be on WWE's good side, right? You'll get it from the Triple H's, and you'll get it from even the Stephanies, and you'll get it from the JRs, and you'll get it from quite a few people that are still cool with the company, even Chris Jericho. And you'll hear this whole, fans should just accept things for what they were. They just sat back and just enjoyed the show, right? That's not true. That's not true. All right? Let me give you some examples. And I could go back. First of all, historically, and this was always known, one of the reasons Bruno Sammartino carried the belt for so long, right, is that whenever they try to push anyone else, people were not responding to them. They weren't buying the tickets. And back then, it was pretty straightforward. The house shows were everything, right? Because this is a territory age. If they couldn't sell out the Garden, there was no reason to put the belt on them. When Bruno Sammartino wanted to retire, Vince Sr. would convince him to stay around longer because that's who the people wanted to see. Now, when he left, all right, the last time, they put Bob Backlund. Now, Bob Backlund wasn't that bad, but business was not doing so well, right? So they had to do what? They had to adjust. They had to find a star. They were listening to the people, all right? And they had to find an alternative here because this Bob Backlund thing was not working. They eventually got the belt off of Backlund, and then they got it temporarily on the Iron Sheik, and then they got it on Hogan. And then Hogan was a superstar. People loved Hogan. right? There was no other just sitting back enjoying the show. No, they genuinely loved Hogan. That's one example. Another example. Let's get a little more soon, right? By the way, by the current stupid logic that these idiots are telling you nowadays, right? You would be told, no. Well, why can't people just accept Bob Backlund? If you know, back in the day, they would just show up to the garden. They would just buy tickets and just sit down and they would just enjoy the show for what it was. Why are they trying to take over? Well, why are they declining this? Why they're not accepting this champion? Right? By this logic, that's how stupid they would sound. And could you imagine if Hogan was over? Like Hogan was in the WWF. He was getting cheered. They were going crazy for Hogan. And all they did, they kept the belt on Backlund. Could you imagine? Like they were there to see Hogan, but Backlund, Vince would just keep the belts on Backlund for years. And they would just have Backlund win, and Hogan, they would just have him lose all the time. Whenever he got his title shot, he would lose. Yeah, people would get tired of it. They would have stopped watching, right? They would have been like, oh, fuck this shit. Well, let's go to a more recent example. And there's a reason I went all the way back, by the way. A more recent example. When The Rock first came out as Rocky Maivia, all smiles. Vince was big on him. Vince thought he had the nice new big baby face. Oh, they're going to love him, right? He was getting booed. He was getting rejected. That Rocky Maivia character with that funky ass hair and that name, and like I don't even know why they couldn't call him Rocky Johnson, but whatever, right? He comes out and they just didn't like him. He was just corny. He was getting booed. What the fuck is this? What happened? The Rock listened to the fans. So what did he do? He used it to his advantage. He turned into The Rock. And then he began to use that heat. He turned it into a positive. And then people started to love him. Eventually he became a face. Listening to the fans. Nowadays, they don't listen to the fans. And then they try to guilt the fans now. They even haven't seen it. I'm just trying to go to WrestleMania. You see him do that bullshit? He's just trying to go to WrestleMania. Like, what about Balor's trying to go to WrestleMania? You've been going to WrestleMania since fucking WrestleMania 20. How many more WrestleManias do you want to go to? Balor hasn't even been to WrestleMania. You want to guilt people? Like, oh, I'm just trying to get to WrestleMania. But now that is a microcosm of what the WWE is doing. Every time they do an interview, I don't know, this is the guy. People just think it's cool to boo people now. That's why they boo them. So now rejecting a talent is the fans trying to take over the show, apparently. When they reject something, all of a sudden, that doesn't mean, we got to make some adjustments here and see what we can do. No. It's just that it's the fans. It's the fans' fault. Let's blame the fans. Fans will just sit back and just enjoy it now, like they used to back in the day. The ratings are dropping. Revenue's going up, but I don't know if I could say the same about profits. Can't even afford pyros now. There's something missing here. And it's not the fans. I mean, talk about a scapegoat. It's always the same thing. I always hear Triple H come out, well, Roman, one arena loves him, one arena hates him. It's just a mixed thing. You just never know. I have yet to see an arena that loves Roman Reigns. I've yet to see it. I have yet to see an arena that's at least 70% for Roman Reigns. I've yet to see it. I mean, you could do something with this. Have Roman Reigns, I mean, have a match and, for the title, and have Vince come out and give a share shot to the dude that's the opponent, help Roman Reigns win, and Vince could cut a promo. This is my guy, and you're gonna love what I like, whether you like it or not. And I mean, that would be a big hit because that's really what they're doing anyway. Might as well do a fucking angle out of it. I think it would be huge. Revenue's going down, ratings are going down, and it's too bad we can't gauge the pay-per-views anymore. Because back then you can gauge with the pay-per-view buys. You can't do that no more. So I hate that, right? I can't stand. And then you have the WWE marks that everything the WWE does is gospel, right? Like, people can't just sit down and just act like a crowd. They want to be part of the show. Well, what happened to, it's the WWE universe. What happened to that? What happened to, it's not the fault of the fans that the product is so fucking stale, right? And if the guys cutting the promo suck so much, it's not their fault. It's not their fault that everything's overly scripted now. It's not their fault. Blaming the fans. It's the fault of the people that literally put money in our pockets. It's their fault. You do know that nobody watched it. Okay, there would be no WWE. That's just a fact. That's just the reality. What else does D-Style hate? We'll talk more about what D-Style doesn't like, right? So we talked about the WWE marks. Okay, we talked about the wrestlers and executives and stuff like that. People that used to work for WWE that are always defending the moves that WWE does. Like you have guys like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. The nerve of these guys, okay? Now, I'm sure them recently being inducted in the Hall of Fame and being cool with Triple H has nothing to do with this, right? But the nerve of these guys, they come out and they defend Roman. Oh, Roman! Oh, yeah, Roman. I mean, he's the real deal, but these fans nowadays, they just can't accept him. If Roman was back in the day, they would be cheering him. The nerve of these guys. Are you kidding me? Especially when they're the same guys that go out of their way to tell everybody, hey, guys, just between us, okay? They used to pipe in the Goldberg chants. Nobody really liked Goldberg. Goldberg was never really as big as he thought he was. Okay, are you shitting me? Talk about being a bunch of fucking hypocrites, right? The hypocrisy of the thing. They're the same guys. They get on Bret Hart for being a quote-unquote mark for himself. Right. Now, how many cruiserweights did you put over, right? How many cruiserweights did you fucking bury in WCW to put yourselves over? But anyway, at the end of the day, let's talk about other shit I hate. I hate everything, like that George Strait song. It's lame. But anyway, I just wanted to give my thoughts about that. Too many dumb people out here. Just so many people just saying dumb shit, right? I will say this, right? And I'll end it with this last point that I hate. I hate how the WWE breaks kayfabe all the time. I hate it. I fucking hate it. It's like the WWE goes out of their way to tell everybody it's fake more than the detractors of the thing. Like it's they go out of their way to tell, oh, by the way, this is fake. By the way, this isn't real. Like all right, we get it. Okay, cool. I mean, they don't say that, but they almost imply it all the fucking time. In everything. Look, if I'm not that serious about it. Like if somebody wants to have a Twitter handle, right, and they break kayfabe on Twitter, I don't care. Okay, I don't give a shit about that. Okay, if somebody wants to break kayfabe at the airport because they're signing autographs for somebody, I don't care about that. I just don't. Okay, if somebody wants to break kayfabe at a restaurant, if they go on ESPN and they break kayfabe, I'm fine with that. That's fine. I don't care about that. I hate the break of kayfabe on the WWE product itself. It's annoying, right? Unless it's something serious, then I get it. Like when Owen Hart died, yeah, you break kayfabe. Okay, you tell people, hey, unfortunately, there was an accident. And you end the show, by the way. You don't continue on with the fucking show, right? That was kind of a dumb move by WWE, continuing that show when Owen Hart had literally just died in that ring, right? And so I get it. When Jerry the King Lawler had his heart attack, I get it. Yes, at that point, you let people know, hey, this is not part of the show. This is not, but Jerry Lawler, he's in critical condition or whatever it is. That things like that, I get it, right? But I'm tired of kayfabe being broken. It's like watching The Walking Dead, right? And somebody stops being their character, and then all of a sudden, like we're being shown, the backstage cameras and the director and shit. We don't want to see that shit. I don't see the director, and I don't want to see them put makeup on before the show and all that during the actual show. That's what the WWE does all the time. It's annoying. Oh, by the way, this is fake. Oh, no shit. You know what it's like? Like even shows like, I always hated the show Tough Enough. I always hated it. And I know there's a lot of people that love it, and oh yeah, it really shows, the hardships of wrestling or whatever, but I hated it. Talk about just giving everything away. Like okay. All right. But that was one thing. But then when they would have the Tough Enough contestants compete on Raw, like I remember they had this thing where they had the Big Show deliver a choke slam on all the competitors, right? And all of them got up as soon as he landed the choke slam. This dude was choke slamming people in 1, 2, 3, and they were out. They were selling the move. You just killed the finisher. What are you doing? It's insane. I think at least one dude just popped up. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? What? So I hate that. I hate kayfabe being broken. I could think of a million more examples, but why even go through it? In special circumstances, like I mentioned, yes, of course you break kayfabe. You don't keep kayfabe while a dude just died, okay? Or somebody's had a heart attack. Yeah, you assure the audience that had nothing to do with the show, right? Yes, I get that. Cool. All right. Like I remember when, I don't know. It's pointless to go to examples because people know what I'm talking about. But to compare it, it's kind of like this, okay? It's like if you take your kids to Disneyland, right? You go to Disneyland with your kids. Now you know that the guy, and even your kids know that the dudes with a Mickey Mouse, mask and all that, and Minnie Mouse and all, like that they're not really that's not really Mickey Mouse, right? Unless your kid's like 3 years old or something, right? But nobody really believes that, nobody believes that. But you don't want them to take the mask off in front of everybody. Like, what if they all just took off their mask and just walked around and just like that? Well, it would ruin the Disneyland experience, wouldn't it? What if you're watching The Walking Dead and they stab one of the dead walkers or whatever in the head, and then the walker says something because it's out of character to be funny? You're going to be like, what the fuck is this? So that's what the WWE does all the time, and it's annoying. It's annoying. Look, break kayfabe all you want outside of the product. Once a product ends, you could break kayfabe all day, right? You want to break kayfabe? Okay, do it. Just recently, they were killing kayfabe for that stupid mixed match challenge. Watching some of these clips on YouTube, you had heels team up with faces, and they're happy to see each other like they're best friends. Like, what are you doing? Like, well, what is that? What? I don't know. It's just stupid. But whatever. Right? Also, I did get to watch the before I did this video, I watched the NXT Takeover, not the whole show, just the main event with Johnny Gargano versus was it Liamas? I forgot the dude's name, but that was actually a very good match. I was like, wow, this is a really good match, right? They did some dangerous moves in there, but it's okay. Like, I didn't have a problem with it. Like, I understand that sometimes, danger can give people a thrill. I get that, right? It's just they didn't do any ridiculous spots or anything like that, right? And so I did enjoy it, but it was a very, very good match. I wouldn't call it the best match I've ever seen, like some people were saying. I don't think it was better than Omega versus Jericho, which I also watched, right? I don't think it was better than that. But it does tell you, though, that WWE does have the talent to really give people some great wrestling and tell a good story in that ring. Because that's, at the end of the day, long term, if you can get as many people as possible to love that, then the product's going to last. If little comedy skits and breaking kayfabe and all that, it's not going to create fans, not long-term fans. Because there's a million things people could watch that will give them comedy, right? They could go to Comedy Central and find a lot funnier shit. There's a million things people could watch. There are alternatives for almost everything that the WWE wants to give people. But the one thing that there's not a lot of, that nobody could really compete with you because it's not the same thing, is the actual wrestling. That's just the reality. At the end of the day, the payoff is always the match. Yes, you need a background story. Yes, you need to attach people to the characters. Yes, you need some, funny stuff here and there. But you need to be able, all right, to entertain people, have people understand the stories being told in the ring. Yes, it's not real, but you want to tell a story in the ring. And people will gravitate towards that if you tell the story right. They will. The first thing is you got to win over the crowd in the arena. Once the crowd in the arena is not just sitting there quietly, and because you're doing a great job telling the story, then the people at home will appreciate that as well. It has to be the wrestling, not these charades, not this crazy out of the ring stuff, not chair shots to the head. Okay, the wrestling has to prevail above all. It's the one thing you got, right, that is different to everything else on television. And yes, even more different than UFC and boxing. The obvious aside, one's real, one's not. Okay, the obvious aside. But you are able to tell the story you want to tell. You are in control of that. Right? So that's that. That's all I got to say. That's all DStyle has to say. Right? I don't got to say nothing else. Let me see if I can spot the chat here. Right? So that's that. That's all I got to say. And I'm listening to myself all of a sudden. By the way, thanks to those watching. Thanks to those that have thumbs up the video. Right? I remember when I would come on here and talk wrestling, I had like one person listening to me. And now, I'm up to 10 people live. It's getting there. Okay, little by little, we're gonna carry this thing. The goal is to eventually just, if I could do like a weekly thing, And so, and if anyone out there is interested in co-hosting a weekly wrestling podcast with me, then I'm all for it, right? You don't have to know everything about wrestling or anything like that, okay? But you have to have an idea, right? You have to have an idea, and you have to have your own opinions. I don't want somebody always agreeing with me 100%, right? Because then what's the point? Like, you don't need two people agreeing with each other. Doesn't mean you never agree, but once in a while, it's okay to disagree and have different opinions. But that's the ultimate goal. But right now, I just want to, little by little, I want to get a little bit of a wrestling audience here. It's going to take some time, especially since it's kind of like starting new, because a majority of my boxing subscribers don't watch wrestling, right? So it's just something different, and I get that, right? But I'm here. But DStyle is here, right? Like, this wrestling talk is not going anywhere. Like, I honestly feel like professional wrestling as we know it, as far as the WWE, is fading away. And every time I see a glimpse of it coming back, they always take it away. And if NXT is the future, at least from what I saw in this match, then I'm thinking to myself, there is still wrestling in there somewhere. We just need Vince McMahon out of the way, right? All right, let's see here. Gorgruga, I started watching wrestling about 25 years ago, bro. It was fun watching for a while. Christopher Cornfield, everyone liked wrestling at some point. Gorgruga, I'm going to watch Fake Combat. I'd rather watch a martial arts movie. It's more entertaining with a backstory. Well, that's true. That's true. Wrestling is, everybody, what? I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry, bro. Gorgruga, I guess when I realized wrestling was fake, I just killed the drama completely. I used to watch real pro wrestling before this fake wrestling took over, too. I'm not sure what pro wrestling that's real were you talking about. Mr. Doc, I think WWE will always be as crappy as Vince can get away with unless they have legitimate competition. I also think WCW is underrated. Also, Ray was incredible in WCW compared to WWE. I actually watched one of those new Japan pay-per-views JR announced, and I found it to be a breath of fresh air. Lots of old school psychology, etc. In fact, I thought it suited JR better than WWE ever did. I have now watched a lot of I have watched the highlights of Okada and stuff like that, and it's good, but I just, I only have so much time. So, and I refuse to give up on the damn WWE for some reason. Okay, so, but who knows if I'll start watching or not. Bad guy, who remembers the Nation of Domination? I do. Mr. Doc, even Friggin' Hogan eventually put Goldberg over because Goldberg was that over with the fans. True. Bad guy. WWE needs to bring back steroids. Good old days. Now that the revelations have been released that it was not steroids, it wasn't road rage, but really brain damage that caused, a lot of deaths in wrestling. That's one of the reasons I don't have a problem with getting rid of share shots or banning certain moves that can hurt the head and cause, head trauma. Because, I don't have a problem with guys taking steroids at all. If guys could recover faster from being on the road and look better or whatever, or get bigger and do bigger slams or whatever, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it at all. Gorguga stopped watching wrestling in 2000. Vinnie Mac killing the competition really hurt the business. Well, the problem is that he took over all of wrestling and then he doesn't want wrestling on TV. It's insane. Vince hates wrestling. I am convinced of that. Laughing my ass off. Roman World Order. All right. Gorgu, I stopped watching wrestling in 2000. Oh, that was bad guy. I'm sorry. Cybergenetic Slayer. Owen is still missed. Yeah, Owen was one of those guys, man, that never had his run. He never had that run that I believe he could have had. DStyle, you watched the Ric Flair documentary? I did. Good documentary by ESPN. My knowledge on wrestling is 1988 to 2000. Gotcha. Cybergenetics Genetic Slayer, as someone who loves both boxing and wrestling, I thank you for these discussions. Prince White Charming, would you ever consider doing a podcast with wrestling commentators like Brian Alvarez? I don't know who Brian Alvarez is, um, but if he's someone that's like established, and he's definitely bigger than me, I know that. I have no illusion. I'm not under any illusions that or delusions that I'm going to become this big dude for wrestling, but I'm very content with having 100, 200 views for my wrestling videos. Not saying I'm against growing it, but it's going to be a slow process, you know. WWE needs more controversial factions. I agree. Right to Censor predicted the future, says Cybergenic Slayer. I remember that group. Okay, the Mr. Pio. I only watch Bruce Blitz for reviews. I don't watch the shows. Fact shit. Puri. This Selines. Are you going to analyze SOTU? What is that? What does that mean? SOTU. What does that mean? I'm not sure what that means. I'm lost. What does SOTU mean? Looking it up. Oh, State of the Union, bro. I'm like thinking wrestling right now. I'm like, what is this? Like some New Japan shit? Like, what? I was thinking wrestling, and I was like Stone Cold Steve Austin, or what? Like what? I got you. State of the Union address. I don't know. I never cared for these State of the Union addresses. It's all lip service. Like I could tell you right now what's going to happen. So they're going to come out. Donald Trump is going to walk out. He's going to shake hands. He's going to get on the podium. He's going to thank everybody for being there. Right? They're all going to sit down. The Democrats are going to sit down the whole time. They might stand up once, or like they'll only stand up when he praises the military. They're going to stand up and applaud. Okay, and maybe some other stuff, but they'll stand up once or twice. The Republicans will stand up for everything Donald Trump says. They're going to stand up and give him a standing ovation. Like half of the things they're going to stand up. Right, so it's kind of predictable what's going to happen. What he's going to say. He's going to say the country's doing great, that America's back to being great again, that the economy is doing great, that they're creating jobs, that that the tax cut has been doing amazing. So there's no reason to watch it. I already know what he's going to say. Yeah, I don't have to watch it. You're right. It's predictable as shit. It's never an honest assessment of the State of the Union. It's not. Are we going to address all the wars we're in and tell the nation about that? That's the whole point. How about we tell them, hey, we're in 10 countries right now. This is the plan to get out of it. Are they going to talk about that? No. They'll probably have some widow there so they can, warmonger some more. We'll see what they do. But anyway, that's all I got to say, guys. I'm kind of out of stuff to say, so say what I have to say. I addressed the comments there in the chat. This is DStyle, and I'm out. Peace.